Hey everybody, Zachary Reed here, and today I'm going to do a live Notion build out where you can follow along with me in the journey of building out a Notion page. Essentially, I launched my coaching and consulting business yesterday, and I have a client that I'm going to start working with this week. And so now I need a place to track our projects and tasks and then give them a portal where they can access all of their documents, all of our projects and tasks that are going on. And so I'm going to do all of this inside of Notion, and I'm going to do it with you so that you can follow along and build one for yourself, or maybe for someone else. You could sell it. And then I'm also going to include a link to download this Notion document as a free template. If you join my free online community group, you'll get access to that absolutely for free. So let's get started. Okay, so a tip from me, before you start building in Notion, Notion can be very complex, or it can be really easy if you take some time on the front end to kind of diagram out what you're wanting to do. I'm a very visual person, and so this helps me with any type of Notion build out that I'm doing. I always just open up a brand new note on my iPad, and I'll just kind of start sketching it out. So this is what I sketched out for you today. What we're gonna do is essentially build in a single workspace 4 databases. The database names are right here. We're going to build a clients database, a documents database, projects, and tasks. And essentially, the customer portal side of this is all going to be where the customer will get a link from me, and that link is going to be on their client profile. And that client profile is going to show you all of the assigned documents, all of the attached projects, and all of the attached tasks that we're currently working on. All of these highlights down here in red are essentially the different relationships between the different databases. So clients is going to have a database linking to documents, projects, and tasks, because I want the client to be able to see all of those different things for our engagement. And so I'm going to build different views here. For the clients, I'm going to display the clients in a gallery view. I'm going to do the same thing with documents. And then for both projects and tasks, we're going to use table views. And if you're new to Notion, don't even worry about it. I'm going to walk you through how to set all of this up as we go along. And then these items that have a 1 next to them means that I don't want them to have an unlimited amount of records that we're linking to it. I only want them to have one relationship. So for instance, when I'm uploading a new document, I only want it to be attached to one client, or one project or one task. And then on the projects, I'm only going to be doing a single project for a single client. And so I only want to be able to attach that project to one client. And so you can see on the client side that I don't have a 1 next to that, 1 next to these items. And that's because I could have an unlimited amount of documents that I'm attaching to a client, a multitude of projects, and a long list of tasks that are associated with the scope of work. And so that's how we're going to be linking it. Another way of looking at it is kind of like this, where you have the client database here at the center, and attached to the client is all of their documents, all of their projects, and all of their tasks. And so this is just kind of a visual representation of what we're going to be building. And so next, we're going to jump into Notion and build all of this from scratch. Okay, so here we are inside of Notion. I have set up a brand new team space inside my Notion account called Consulting. And right now it just has one page that says home base. And so this is where we're going to start building everything out. If you remember from the document I showed you right before, we're going to essentially build 4 pages out here, one called clients, one called documents, projects, and tasks. And so what I like to do first inside of Notion is I'm going to just click enter. I'm going to use the /, which is the command inside of Notion that lets you build blocks very quickly. And I'm just going to type page. I want to create a page for each of these databases. So first we're going to create the client page, or clients. And I'm actually going to just select from here at the bottom database, select empty database, and we're going to name this clients. Now at the top here, I'm going to add an icon. And under icons, I'm going to select this little user icon. I like that for clients, represents a little person. Then I'm going to go back to home base. Underneath clients, I'm going to do the same thing, / page, click database, empty database. We're going to name this one documents. I'm going to add an icon. I like to use this little like document icon. I'm going to go back to the home base. Underneath that, / page, database, empty database. This one we're going to call projects. And for the icon on this one, I really like this like target arrow one. Go back to home base, underneath projects, again, /page, database, empty database, and we're going to call this one tasks. Now the icon for this one, I like to use the little check mark circle icon. Great. So now if I go back to the home base, you can see now we have clients, we have documents, projects, and tasks. And so right now, these are 4 separate databases that are not connected or anything. So let's go ahead and connect and build these out. We're going to first start with clients. So inside of clients, I'm going to first rename this name field to client name. I'm going to add a property and I'm going to select the relation property. This allows you to connect one database to another. And on the related to, I'm going to relate it to documents. So now this is going to create a connection between clients and documents. Now, we don't really need to worry about the limitations here because again, like I explained earlier, we want any number of documents to be linked to this client. So we're going to not do a limitation, but I do want this to be a two-way relationship. So what does this mean? Well, first of all, if you hover over this question mark here, it'll tell you what it means. It means that this is going to manage the property on document showing backlinks to the current database. So that's fancy talk for it's going to create a field on the documents tab that will link it back to this client's property. And we want to do that because if I'm on the document, I want to be able to click on the client and have it take me back to the client. So we're going to turn this on. And this is where it's going to ask you, what do you want the name of the field to be inside of the documents database? And so for right now, because we only want one client attached to a document, I'm just going to type client. And then I'm going to click add relationship. And now we have a linking to the document. So what I'm going to do is if you click on the icon here on this field, you can actually change the icon. And I like to name or change the icons to the same icons that I've used in the database. So I'm going to click that and click the little document icon. So now it looks like the documents database. And now I'm going to do the same thing for projects and tasks. We're going to create relationships with those two other databases. So I'm going to click add property, scroll down, select relation, select projects. And I am also going to keep no limitation on that, but I do want to create a two-way relation. And on this one, I'm just going to type client because again, on a project, I only want one project to be associated to one client and click add relation. I'm going to change the icon here to our project icon, add a property, go to relation, select tasks, no limitation on tasks. I do want a two-way relationship. Let's name this client because again, I only want one client for one task. Click add relation, click here. I'm going to change the icon to our task icon. Now, this is pretty much it. This is looking great. These are the only associations that I want to add right now for a client. We might add some stuff down the road, but the whole point is to keep it super simple just to get started. And so what I want to do first is I want to change how we view this information on this page. And so this is a table view. It's not bad, but it's just going to show it kind of like an Excel sheet. And I don't really like that when I'm just looking at a page of records that only one record is going to exist for one thing. And so what I'm going to do is instead of a table view, I'd really like to see this in a gallery view. So to change that, I'm going to click the settings icon here, go to layout, and I'm going to change this to gallery. Now, I do want to show the page icon. I want the page to open inside of Center Peak. So that just means that when I click on one of the clients, it's going to open it here in the center. That's fine. And then as far as the card preview, so this is what image will show up on the gallery here. I want to change this to page cover because I'm actually going to upload a custom cover for each client that's customized for them. And so I want that to be what shows up on this gallery page. And then as far as card size, I'm going to do small so we can fit multiple on a row. And then we can leave this card layout the way it is. That's fine for me. And now we're done. The client section is fully built out. We will come back in a minute and build out some templates, but let's just go ahead and move on to the documents page and start customizing that database. So go back to the home base, click on documents. I'm going to change this to document name. You can see that it automatically created that client relationship field. So I'm just going to change the icon to that user icon. And then from here, we need to add the, let's see, date field of when this document was uploaded. And then I also want to have an attachment like this files and media property so I can actually upload the actual document onto here. And then because I want to be able to add documents to both projects and tasks, I'm going to go ahead in the same way we have clients here. I'm just going to go ahead and link and create those relationships. So I'm going to add property. I'm going to go down to relation. I'm going to select projects. And because I only want one project linked to one document, I'm going to take this S off of projects. I want to limit this to one page. And then I do want this to be a two-way relationship. So I want this field of documents to show up on the project page. And I'm going to name it document because, again, I only want, documents, because we could have a number of documents attached to a project. Click add relation. I'm going to change the icon to the target arrow. And now we're going to do the same thing for tasks. Relationship. And then I'm going to change the icon to the task icon. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to move these around to where it's ordered like this. And I would also like to see documents as a gallery as well. So what I'm going to do is click settings, view, gallery. Now, I actually don't really, I guess we could do the files and media as the actual preview of the document. And then I also want to do small, and that's it. So we're going to go back to the home base. Now let's set up the projects database. So I'm going to name this project name. I'm going to change the client relationship to the icon here to the user, change the document one to the document icon. And then now I need to link a project to tasks. So I'm going to click add property, relation, select tasks. And I don't want to limit the number of tasks so we could have a multitude of tasks for a project. I do want it to show up as a relationship on the task page. And I want it to be called project because we'll only have one project associated to one task. So we'll click add. I'm going to change that icon to the task icon. Okay, so this is great. So now we have all the relationships set up here. What I want to do is I want to add a few extra properties here. So we've got the name. Now let's add a status field. So we're going to click add property. Going to select status. I'm going to click on status under edit property. I want to change these because I'm not like the biggest fan of these standard statuses. Under the in progress, I want to click add and add a new one called on track. My philosophy on task management and project management is the project is either on track or off track. There's no like in between stage there. You're either working on it or you're not, and it's on track or it's not. And so I like to just signify that from the get-go. So I'm going to add an on track and an off track option, and I'm going to delete this in progress option. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to change the color for on track to be green, so we know that that's a good thing. And then off track, I'm going to change it to red. So we know, we might need to look at that project. And then I like, instead of it saying done, I like to rename that to completed. And we'll keep that green. And I'm all right with having this default not started status. Okay, so that's the status field. So now we're going to move this over. And now I need to know project timeline. So we need some kind of date field where we can put a timeline on this project. So I'm going to click add property, click on date. I'm going to rename this to timeline. And I don't really need a time field associated to this. I just want to see the dates. So under time format, under edit property, I'm just going to hide the time and just leave the, I'm going to change the date format to month, day, year, because I like just seeing the short dates. And that's it for the timeline. Then I'm going to move that over here. And then now that we have the associated tasks and clients, this is pretty much all we need to keep associated on a project. And so I like seeing projects in a table format. The only thing I'm going to modify on the view is underneath settings. I like having a table view, but I want to group the items by client so that I can see all of the associated projects grouped by client. So under settings, I'm going to click group and select client. So now as I have multiple projects going, maybe I'll have 2 or 3 projects for this first client, then maybe I get a new client and they have their own set of projects. This will actually sort the page and group them in order by client, which will be really helpful as I have multiple things going. So I'm just going to leave it grouped by client and I'm going to have it sort alphabetically so that it groups them in alphabetical order by client. And then we can hide empty groups, which will be great. And so this is exactly what I'm looking for on this projects page for at least right now. So next we will build out the tasks page. So I'm gonna go back to home, go to tasks, rename this to task name. I'm gonna change the client icon, the document icon, the project icon. Oops. Okay. Now I'm going to edit each of these relationship fields because this is really important. So under client, I want it to be limited to one client. For documents, I'm okay with having multiple documents associated to a task. And then for project, I want it to be limited to one project. So now what that means is when I create a new task, it's limited to you only associating this task to one client, one project, and you can add as many documents to this task as you want. And this looks great. The only other fields that I want to add on here is I do want to add a similar status field that we built on projects. So I'm going to add a status. I'm going to edit this, add the on track and the off track. Delete in progress. Change on track to green, off track to red, reorder then. Change completed done to completed. And that's great. So that's the status. We'll move that to the top. And then we also want to add a due date. So again, this is where if you've mapped all of this out before you create, this is how I'm able to build this so much faster because I mapped out all the fields that I need created. And so on-site of date, I'm going to edit the property. Again, I don't care about the time format, so I'm going to turn that off. And I'm going to change the date format to the month, date, year. And I'm going to type due date. Move that over here. And then I'm going to create 2 different views for tasks. On this first one, I'm going to keep it in this table format, but I want it grouped by project, so that it groups all of the associated tasks for a project into one group. And I'm fine with it sorting that alphabetically. And I'm going to turn off hide empty groups because I want to be able to see tasks that are not associated to a project so I can easily assign them if I need to. And then I want to create a secondary view to see tasks grouped by owner, which we forgot to create that field. So let's create that field first, add property. I'm going to add the person field and I'm going to name this field owner. Yeah. So this is going to be the task owner. And now what we'll do is we'll go to settings and I'm going to name this view by project. I'm going to change the icon to show the project icon. And then right next to this view, I'm going to click plus, add another table, and I'm going to name this by owner. I'm going to change the icon to be, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to do this one, this icon, since that's what we used for the owner field.
and click done. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to group by owner. And again, I want to unselect hide empty groups because I want to see tasks that don't have an assigned owner. And then I'm going to close out of this. So now I have two views where I can see all tasks by projects, all tasks by owners. And we'll probably build multiple views along the way. But this is just where I wanted to start off. So now we have all of our databases are built out perfectly. They're all linked together. The next part of this video is going to be building page templates for new records that get created inside of each of these databases. And so let's pause for a second and then come back and do that. Okay, so now that we've got all of our databases built out, we are going to work on the actual individual record templates that get used every time a new record is created inside of these databases. So let's start with clients. I'm just going to click inside of clients. And underneath this blue area right here, this is obviously where you would create a new record, but I'm going to click this drop down and click new template. The cool thing about templates is that once you build them, you can assign them as default so that every new record that gets completed or created utilizes that template. So we're going to click new template. I'm going to call this template new client. I want to add the icon of the client icon. I'm going to add a generic cover, change the cover. I'm just going to do a color right now. I'll just do yellow. I'll customize these as I get new clients. And then what we're going to do is click on customize layout. Now, if you don't see customize layout right here, you can also access it from this menu by clicking customize layout. And this is a new feature inside of Notion that lets you create new page layouts. It's actually pretty cool. So what we're going to do is click on page settings, and on the right, we're going to select tabbed. This will make more sense as we keep going, but I want to turn off page discussions, and I want to create and turn on full width. So this allows the page to be a full width page. And then underneath this property group right here, I'm just going to select it. And then on this right-hand side, I'm just going to turn the eye, click on the eye icon and click always hide on all of these because I'm actually going to create tabs for these things. And so I don't need them showing up here as well. And then on these three dots, I'm going to click that three dots and say, or click on move to panel, which moves it over here. And I'm going to close the sidebar because I don't need any of this. I'm going to click the plus button on the tabs, and I'm going to add the documents relationship. I'm going to do the same thing for projects and the same thing for tasks. So now when I click on a client and it opens up this page, I can see all of their tasks, all of their projects, and all of their documents. Now, Notion is really smart, and you can see that it's filtering out the records of each of these databases by the actual client that's selected, which is amazing. You used to have to do all of this manually, but now it's automated, which is really cool. I like to rename this content. This is actually like the page content that it develops, and I like to rename this, client details. And I like to select, there's this little like identification badge icon. And you can see it says page contents empty. So as you're creating notes for this individual client, that's where these would get generated. And so now we have a really nice clean layout for each of these items. And so now what I want to do is I want to modify the views of these databases. So for documents, if you remember earlier, we did a gallery view for this, and I want to do the same thing. So in the properties menu over here under layout, I'm going to select gallery, and I will keep the icon. I will turn the titles on. I'm okay with it. Center peaking. The load limit, I'm just going to do 100, which is the max, unfortunately. I wish they would increase that. But anyway, we'll do the max. And then for card preview, I want to do the actual file or media that's uploaded and the card size small. And then the list format is fine for this gallery view. So we'll go back. And this is great. So now what I want to do is I'm going to sort these documents by the name so that they show up alphabetically. And that's it. So then we're going to move on to the projects tab. And for projects, I'm okay with it being in a table. And I just want to sort them by project name. And that's pretty much it for projects. And then on tasks, I want the layout to be a table. And I want to group these tasks by project. And I want to turn off hide the empty groups. Go back. And then I want to sort the tasks by due date. And I want to do them in descending order. And that's pretty much it for that. So now we've got this beautiful layout. I'm going to select right here, apply to all pages, and close out of this. And now if I click on here on this drop down under this new template we just created, I want to click the 3 dots and select set as default. And so what that does is I'm going to say for all views in clients, this means that every time I create a new client, it's going to utilize this template that we created. So if I click new page right here, you can see it automatically assigns this layout. And we have all of the layouts that we built here, which is really cool. So I'm just going to say client number 1, obviously put the name in here. I can customize the cover. And so now I have my first client added in here. And so now we're just going to do the same thing for the other layouts. All right, so next we are going to build the documents page template. So I'm going to click on documents. Underneath the new menu, click new template. Name this new document. I want the icon to always be our icon for documents. And then we don't need to add a cover to this because we already told the gallery on this view to show whatever the files and media ends up being. So I'm actually going to drag that to the top, and I'm going to select customize layout, go to page settings, and I'm going to do the simple layout. I'm going to turn off page discussions. I'll make it full width. And then under property group, I'm going to, let's see, actually what I'm going to do is go back to page settings. I am going to make it tabbed. I'm going to rename this one document info. I'll change the icon to our document right there. And then what I'll do is I will click the plus icon and do client, project, and task. That way, if this document is linked to any of those details, we can see them right here. And actually, now that I'm thinking about this, I think let's go ahead and remove these views, because on this document info area, it's all going to be right here. And so I'm just going to leave it as this default view and click apply to all pages. And I'm going to click outside of this. And now under the dropdown, I'm going to assign this template by clicking these 3 dots as the default for all views in documents. Great. So now if I click new document, it says it all right there, which is great. And then if I just upload a random document here, let's do this consulting agreement. Now the consulting agreement is right there. I could assign this to our sample client by just clicking there. And now we have our new document, which is awesome. So now let's go back to home base. Let's do the same thing for projects. Let's build out the projects page. So we will click the little drop down, do a new template, call it new project. Oops. Add the icon for project. Let's customize the page layout. Go to page settings. I'm going to leave page discussions turned on, because if I need to add notes for a project, I'll probably do it there. And then we can also, that'll allow a collaborative area for even the client to be able to comment and create discussions. So we'll leave that. I do want it to be full width, and I do want this to be tabbed. And then we're just going to click on where it says content right here. And I'm going to say, or title this project details. And I'll click the icon, and I'll just use this other target icon. On the project, the property group right here, I would like to see the timeline at the top, the current status, who the client is, and then I'm going to turn off documents and tasks. I'm going to hide those. And the reason why is because I'm actually going to add those as tabs so that we can see the data better. So next to project details, I will click this plus icon and I will do first, I'll do documents, and then I will add tasks. And this is great because on the documents one, I do want the documents to be, I think for this one, I do want it to be in a table because I want to be able to see just the document details better, like it is right here. And so under property visibility inside of documents, all I want to see is the document name, the date that it was added, and then I'm going to just turn off all of the other properties because I'm going to be able to click on the document and pull it up. And so really all I need to see is this, and I'm going to make the document name field larger because, you know, we might have a long document name and I don't want it to take up all of this info. So if I go back, this is great. And then under table layout, I do want to click the wrap all content, which will wrap the names of these documents so that it doesn't get cut off here. And then this looks great. So then on tasks, what I want to do on tasks is I'm okay. I think actually for this layout, I'm okay with it being a table. For the properties visible, I do want the task name. We can turn off the, we can turn off the client field, the documents field, the project field, and I just want to see the task, the status, when it's due, and who is the owner of that task. And then I'm going to click back, go to layout, wrap the contents because these task names might be long. And I am going to, on the load limit, do 100. Go back. And do I want to group? No, we don't need to group. Well, what we could do is we could group these tasks by owner. So that way we're able to see and turn off hide empty groups. So that way we're able to see tasks grouped by a particular owner, which will be really handy. And so that's all we're going to do for projects for right now. So then I'm just going to click apply to all pages, close out of here. And then under the dropdown, I'm going to click settings and set as default for all views in projects. Okay, so that's projects. Now let's do tasks. Click new template, new task. This is a lot of work up front, but the nice thing is that you're setting up templates so that from here on out, as we create new records, it's automatically going to reuse the same settings that we want. And so if your business is particular about a particular process or way that you view information, you can set up different types of templates for different things. And it just makes it so much easier when you're trying to automate this process. So from here, we added the icon. What we're going to do is customize the layout. Do under page settings, we're going to do a tabbed system. We are going to keep page discussions turned on. I'm going to turn on and make it full width. And then from here under content, I'm going to rename this task details. Select the same icon. And then under the plus icon, I'm going to select documents. And then I'm going to also do, I'm just going to do documents. So we'll have task details and documents. And on the property group, I'm going to hide documents. And I just want to be able to see the client, the project it's associated to, the due date, the status, and the owner, all on this details page. And then you have the discussion and then anything else you want to add to the page. On documents, let's keep the layout as a table, but let's wrap the contents and let's create 100 load limit there. Let's go back. On the properties visible, let's do document name. Let's turn off client. Let's keep date. Let's turn that off, the project and the task off. So now you just see the document name and the date. I'm just going to make the title a little bit longer. Then that's it. So now you have task details, which will show you the attached client, the attached project, the due date, the status, and the owner. And then you can see all of the documents associated to this task. So this looks really great. I'm going to click apply to all pages, click out of it, change this to be the default template for all views. And that's it. So now we've associated a nice view page layout for this. And so we pretty much that's the whole build. What you would essentially do to turn this into an actual client portal is as you're building out your clients, you would open up the client and you're going to click the share button and you can type in the email address to your client and give them editing access to this page. And because you've given them access to this page only, they will be able to see the documents, the projects, and the tasks. And they can engage with you through comments, through any of these. They can pull up the projects, any kind of associated documents. And then you can also create projects and tasks straight from this client page as well. So let's say that we want to create a new project for this client. We can just call it new website build. And all the information is right here. So it's not started. If I open it up, now I can start adding tasks to this build. So I can say new page under task. I can say set up web hosting. I can do another page and say purchase domain name, whatever the tasks are. And then I can keep track of everything. So let's say I've already purchased, or this one's on track, this one's off track, this one is due today, this one is due tomorrow, and the owners of these tasks are me. And so now you can see they're grouped by me. And so if I shared this client portal, I now have access to all the projects, but I can also see the tasks inside of this project straight from this menu as well. And so that will help you create your client portal. So I'll probably do some minor tweaks to this. I'm going to change this icon to my logo, and I'll probably add a cover image here. I like to use Unsplash just because it's free and it's easy. Let's see what they have for consulting. Okay, cool. So this is kind of cool. This black and white image of a boardroom meeting. So I'll just kind of change the positioning, click save. Awesome. So now I have a workspace where I can keep track of all my clients, all my documents, projects, and tasks. I showed you how to share this page with your client so that they have their own web portal to access all of their documents, projects, and tasks. And once you share this page with them and you've and kind of invited them into your workspace, you can actually assign tasks and whatnot to them. And so I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I mentioned, I'm going to upload this template to my free online community group where you can just download it, start using it, customize it right away. And there's tons of other resources I'm going to be adding to that community group. It's also a way to engage with me and ask questions and things like that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out the template, follow me online at Zachary Reed, or check out my website, zacharyreed.com, where I offer consulting services, as well as I have an AI agency called Clarity OS, where we help automate processes for businesses. So check all of that out, and I will see you in the next video.